Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about tarot and moss agate. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you want to craft your own tarot cards, maybe your creativity is coming back to you as we enter the cooler, darker seasons ahead, at least in the northern hemisphere, you can go ahead and get my full workshop, including the hour-long recording with my step-by-step method, examples of the cards I've created, journaling questions, and a PDF to walk you all through it. The link is in the show notes to grab that now. If you want an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast during my new moon collective tarot readings, you join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family at the lovers level. We just had the new moon today as I'm recording this on September 22nd. So a new moon collective tarot reading as we enter Libra season. The new moon in Libra is coming soon. If you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on the Patreon. You can also go ahead and watch the collective tarot reading replay from August's new moon in Virgo. And if you're local, you can check out my Let's Talk Tarot meetup group. Come chat with other tarot enthusiasts, bring your favorite decks, and play with oracle and tarot decks all together with us. If you're interested in celebrating the full moon, I'll be holding full moon women's circles for the rest of 2025. Join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. The upcoming dates are October 5th, November 2nd, and December 7th, and the links to sign up for any or all of those are in the show notes. If you are interested in joining my newsletter that always has the most up-to-date information on upcoming events, presentations, and more, you can sign up now, and when you join, you'll get my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year for my lovely listeners. And if you don't already know, I'm a sex and relationships therapist and coach, seeing clients virtually all over from my home office. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients, so if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. The links for any of these offers can be found in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull for each episode. Alright, so welcome to season 15, where I'm talking all about tarot and crystals. If you haven't checked out my other seasons, you should go ahead and do that. But today I'm talking about moss agate. We're going to talk about the myth, the magic, the meaning, and then I will go ahead and pull a card at the end of the session today to see what message moss agate has for us. So, I'm going to be referencing the Stones of the Goddess, 104 Crystals for the Divine Feminine by Nicholas Pearson book. And yeah, let's get into moss agate. So, magical uses associated with moss agate are herbal magic, wealth, healing, fertility, fairy contact, grounding, longevity, beauty, and inspiration. They are associated with the element of earth. The astrological signature includes Venus, Jupiter, Taurus, Gemini, and Virgo. The goddess archetypes are Earth Mother and Mistress of Magic, and the formation process is igneous. So moss agate is a translucent variety of chalcedony with dendritic inclusions that resemble plant matter, hence the name moss. These branching moss-like forms are typically green, brown, reddish, or black. Because moss agate does not usually exhibit the bands that characterize the agate family, it is not technically an agate, but rather a chalcedony, despite its name. Moss agate is found worldwide worldwide, and it is often formed in association with weathered igneous rocks. So moss agate connotes a sense of fertile ground. The gemstone was once used in Persia to help crops grow, a practice that continued in India, where it was maintained that moss agate protected crops from floods, drought, and damage from insects. Accordingly, it can be used in your garden to promote healthy plant growth, to increase the magical and medicinal journey or potency of your herbs, and to hold the energy of sacredness of your home and garden. Try gridding your garden with moss agate to take advantage of these effects and to establish a deeper relationship with the nature spirits that may visit or reside there. The tiny plant-like structures within this translucent stone are reminiscent of fresh moss, which enables the stone to blur the lines between vegetable and mineral, living and non-living, organic and inorganic. The liminal nature of the juxtaposition endows moss agate with the ability to connect to the fairy folk. Offerings of moss agate are also effective for developing relationships with the fairy folk and the spirits of the land. Excuse me. Carrying moss agate can protect against the mischievous deeds of those beings by marking you as respectful and in tune with their way of life. Moss agate is stone that honors the Earth Mother and mistress of magic archetypes, since it can be used to establish contact with the shining ones, the fairy folk. Moss agate can also be used to connect to the fairy queen, an aspect of the mistress of magic who rules over the liminal reality of the fairy folk. She is beautiful, beguiling, and cunning. Her magical talents include powerful glamour, longevity, and beauty. And glamour or glamoury is this Scots word referring to a charmed condition in which everything is invested with magical properties and possibilities. It also refers to the magical art of changing or augmenting the way you are perceived by others, often called glamoury or glamour magic today. All right, since the Shining Ones were gifted in the fields of art and music, the Fairy Queen can also be a personal muse. Moss agate can thus be employed for seeking inspiration in artistic endeavors. It offers a gentle but continual sense of grounding, thereby keeping you on task as you paint, sculpt, compose, write, cook, sing, or otherwise engage in creative pursuits. Magically, moss agate is a stone of grounding, healing, and wealth. It is once employed for divining the location of hidden treasures. Today, it can be used in workings to uncover hidden talents, draw money, or stabilize your finances. Moss agate is a gentle tonic for the physical body, providing overall healing and balance. Use moss agate in seasonal rituals to facilitate attunement to the rhythms of the Earth Mother. All right, so yeah, just a reminder again, so it's a sort of greenish stone that has these branching things that kind of look like moss-like forms, very much associated with earth, grounding, earth magic, right, fairies, and all of these sort of astrological signatures and goddesses that are associated with the earth, right, in which we have Taurus and Virgo as earth signs, affiliated with Venus, Jupiter, and Gemini as well. So yeah, when I think of tarot cards that might be affiliated with moss agate, I think of like the Queen of Pentacles or sort of any of the Pentacles cards, since those are our earth cards. We think of Venus, right? We could have the Empress or sometimes even the Lovers. If I think of more of the wealth or fertility kind of cards, or grounding, longevity, beauty, inspiration. Again, I think of Queen of Pentacles and the Empress, so interesting that those come up there. For inspiration, right, I might go more into like a Wands suit, since inspiration and creativity kind of go along together. I'm trying to think if there's any other major arcana cards that I guess for sort of like grounding, maybe I would say the World. And actually the image that's in this book has like a moss agate that is kind of placed on top of this statue in like it looks like the the statue of like the person holding up the globe. So that's kind of funny too. So yeah, I would say the world, sort of the circular, grounded aspect. All right, so yeah. I actually have multiple moss agate stones, I was realizing, and one of them is a very smooth one, and I love to like hold it. I would say it's a very grounding energy. I actually like to like, it's pretty big and it kind of fits in the palm of my hand, and I kind of love to like squeeze it when I'm like, I don't know, I was gonna say when I'm frustrated, but just kind of as like a sensory experience of like feedback. And then I have these two other ones. I also have other agates, but these ones I think might both also be moss agate, that are more of like a bluey green with red streaking throughout, and they look actually more like moss. The green one I have that is very dark but kind of like mottled. But I think all of them qualify as moss agate. And I'm going to go grab my tarot deck to see what messages moss agate has for us today. And I'm going to pull from the Herb Crafters Tarot because I feel like that is a very grounded, right? It's a plant deck, and it's also green. Like the box and the back of the cards are green with kind of different things on them. The box that the deck is in is green, and so is the tarot deck guidebook. So this is the Herb Crafters Tarot, written by Letitia Guthrie, artwork by Joanna Powell Colbert, and it's a very nice like plant, allies, and witchy deck. Oops. Oh my gosh. Well, I had two cards fly out. Wow, okay, I got the Empress that I was talking about, which in this one is depicted by a rose, and it's very pink and red on here. And then I pulled the Five of Earth, so right, the earth sign here, which is Slippery Elm. That's a card I haven't seen before, that particular one, so that's kind of cool. And I love that we pulled the Empress after I talked about her multiple times. So let's read about the Empress first. So the Empress is the number 3 card in the major arcana. She says, be vulnerable yet strong, nurture love and compassion, and see beauty and abundance in every stage of life. And what's depicted on the image says a honey-colored work table is covered with wild roses. Fall leaves are arranged in a crown. The seeds of fat, juicy rose hips spill out next to pink heart-shaped petals. Buds and flowers lie on a honeycomb. Red chilies form a triskel pointing to a flaming heart. A stone bead of the women of Willendorf, a representation of the Great Mother, is strung onto a rosary. Healing the heart heals the world. Learn to be vulnerable yet strong, like the delicate petals of the rose protected by thorns. Roses uplift the spirit and inspire love. Embody sensuality in bold, vibrant ways. Let creativity and abundance flourish around and within you. Wild roses are prolific, creating food, medicine, and shelter for all those who encounter them. As all parts of the rose contain medicine, every stage of your life finds passionate expression. Create, make, love, play. It is a fertile, generative time. So if you want to do some crafting with the Empress card, you can arrange rose thorns and petals together on your altar to cultivate vulnerability and strength. You could create a rosary out of rose buds, hips, or dried rose petal beads for love and compassion. And if you don't know, rose hips are kind of like the fruit of roses. So once the flower, it will flower, and then it will kind of like dry up and close up at the end, and then it forms this kind of like circular red looking fruit thing. Those are called rose hips, and usually you see them over winter time. And then we all know about rose buds and rose petals. And then it says, celebrate the many stages of life by learning the remedies for each season of the rose. Rose buds for childhood, full blooms for midlife, and hips for elderhood. All right, and then I also pulled, like I said, the 5 of Earth, which would be like the 5 of Pentacles, and there's actually a pentacle or a pentagram on the front of the house that is depicted on this card, and then it is a slippery elm, which I'm not super familiar with. So 5 of Earth. So, slippery elm is ulmus rubra in Latin, soothe the pain of those in need. If even the wounded can heal. You have the skills it takes to survive any crisis. A slippery elm sapling sits in the empty yard of a beloved home that has white paint chipping from its sides and boarded up windows. Wind supports are in place and the tender trunk is protected from deer by the circle of bamboo. The home is old and in need of repair, but it is sturdy. The old black chairs rock in the wind. Economic and physical hardship may cause stress. Setbacks can take you by surprise and reduce vitality. Alienation from your support system compounds the issue. While slippery elm is a valued botanical, for the first years of life, the bark provides medicine for inflammation and materials for baskets. Its health is threatened by Dutch elm disease. All trees eventually become susceptible. Slippery elm teaches that even in hard times, we have access to our resources if we do not lose faith. You have the skills to protect what remains and make it through the crisis. Create a warm and comforting place to hole up while your situation improves. All right, so yeah, the slippery elm is all about, right, hardship that may have caused stress, setbacks, taking you by surprise, but also, right, this sort of like hopefulness that we can have going forward, that we have the skills to protect what remains and make it through crisis. Create a warm and comforting place to hole up while your situation improves. And as I was talking to clients today, I also feel like as the world's situation improves, right? Sometimes the only thing we can do is take care of ourselves, make sure we're caring for our bodies, that, right, rest is resistance and revolution, especially under capitalism. And so, right, nourishing ourselves is actually this revolutionary practice. And sometimes, again, that feels like the only thing we have control over as well. So if you want to craft with the 5 of Earth or the slippery elm, you can take slippery elm lozenges to soothe a stomach upset by worry or stress. You can honor the gifts of slippery elm by supporting United Plant Savers' efforts to protect the plant, or you could take a wild skills class and learn to make containers from slippery elm bark. So very versatile. And yeah, it's just like a plant that also, right, wants us to work with our support system, with our nervous system, and again, protect ourselves from harm in the same ways that we're working to protect the plant from, right, the Dutch elm disease that elm trees can get. All right, well, thank you to the slippery elm and the Empress and the Moss Agate for your messages today, right? We're learning to love ourselves and find joy in that, and also protect ourselves and protect our own health and wellness and our mental and emotional well-being. All right, well, links for the tarot decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. I also am still getting people signed up for the Tarot for Transformation course. We'll be working together for 12 weeks of calls and journaling to discover what happens when we want to transform our lives through the tarot. And thanks for joining me today on the Everyday Tarot podcast. Just as a reminder, this comes out Monday through Friday daily for all of 2025. And you can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.